got a little bit of time this afternoon and waiting for paint to dry, which isn't just a saying, actually waiting for paint to dry. So I'm gonna go ahead and melt this lead out, and we're gonna get these pinch welds out and get this new rocker put back in over here. So much junk. There can't be any more. There's nothing here for it to attach to. Interesting. Good thing there was nobody in that room.
It's like I can't grab it.
Like I've been saying, we've been bouncing around a bit just because there's a lot of work to do, so we can kind of pick and choose what we want to jump into right away. Today we are raring to go for the moment, so first thing I'm going to do is get this rear bar out of my way. We do have all the new bracing coming from Golden Star for the package tray to the floor area. I realize there's a couple more pieces missing here than I thought, so it's going to be easier to just get the brand new piece and do a little modifying for the tubs on the new piece and weld it in, and it's just going to look way nicer. So we're going to cut those off, get all that bracing off, drill the spot welds where the trunk brackets attach, and get all of this junk out of the way. Jack the car up in the air so I can get up inside the wheel wells on each side and start getting these tubs put into place. All right, clean that up and start drilling these spot welds out. It's like maybe the old spot weld freaking spot welders had like a hair trigger and it was just an accident. Like, oops. That one's loose.
So what are you doing?
I gotta get all of this old undercoating, which I hate, but at the same time, it's the reason why this looks as good as it does. So I gotta get all of this off so that I can start cutting and get this monstrosity out of my way so we can get the tubs in so we can put monstrous tires under this thing. All right, so we drilled out all the pinch welds, got everything out of the corner here. I got this piece loose from the inside. Package tray is now all cleaned up, and when we get the new piece, we can tack and spot weld, rosette weld, whatever you want to call it, and get that back attached to that and to the new tub. And then I made a template of the tub that they sent us from Golden Star, transferred that over here onto the floor section, and then I added like 3/4 of an inch on the inside. So I'm going to cut on that line there, and that'll give me a spot to fold over for a pinch weld to tack this thing in from the underside. Okay, we are a few hours in on this now, and I've got it fitted in a couple of times, and that little Sharpie line right there is actually the inside of the fender here, so I went back an inch so we'd have a good place to overlap. I punched some holes in so I can get that rosette welded in place. The lower bracket down here that I drilled all the pinch welds and everything out of is just in the way. So on this side, I completely cut it off. We'll make a new bracket that comes from here down to the fender. It'll be super simple, little trapezoid or whatever that we gotta make, punch some holes in it, we'll rosette weld it in. But yeah, that's all good and cleaned up. And then on this side, where those lines are that I showed you, I cut that back and bent this flange over. And then this is my Sharpie line where that fender went the last time. So that is all punched and ready so that we can get that spot welded in. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the actual tub now and get it shoved up into place, wrestle it up in there. I'll get some Tech screws, get it screwed into place. They look freaking beautiful. So I'm pretty happy with the stuff that we got at Golden Star. I don't know if they make a floor here that's designed for tubs or not, but just doing that little slice and fold for that couple of feet up front is really not a big deal. So I am going to get this all tack welded in, or not tacked, but all rosette welded in, and this whole rear section should be ready for seam sealer, and we'll start moving forward, get this other rocker and this toe board patched up next. Quick catch up to where we're at on the 55. We already showed this rocker all done, replaced, and brand new. We now have the driver's side one done, replaced and brand new. And I started cutting the toe board sections out because we are keeping the original firewall in place, simply because we're running the original heat setup, so there's already holes for that. We're keeping the wipers. I just have an electric motor for it instead of the vacuum operated setup. We're using the same brake pedal, clutch pedal, all of that, and emergency brake, so all of that stuff can stay. I can just weld up any unused holes we have, and then any modifications we'll have to do to fit the big block in, I can deal with, and I won't feel bad for cutting up a new firewall. So that handles all of that. Amy made me a couple of templates for the two rotten pieces on each side of the trunk back here, so I'm gonna get those made and welded in, and then that's the new tail panel. So she should be a solid car by the end of the day. If you noticed, all the braces have been removed, so it will be good to go for us to chop the quarters off. Try to drill with the drill in reverse. Doesn't work. Toe boards are completely repaired, which means the floor is in and actually all completely welded in. I'm gonna come back here right now. Like I said, Amy made a couple of templates for these corners. So we're gonna go ahead and punch this bottom row because I'm gonna spot weld that from the underside. And then I am going to slowly chisel these rotten pieces out up to the lines that we have, which is kind of going to be a pain in the ass, but we'll get them. And weld that centerpiece in and start making these. And then if you look, they dimple it here and it's dimpled there, so they leave this gap for them to put lead and stuff in, which this day and age you don't need that. So I'm welding this centerpiece in first because these two templates on the corners, I think I'm going to make them a little long so they can run all the way up to that dimple there, and when it's in, it'll be a nice smooth section, and we'll just have to skim it a little with some filler. So I'm going to start chiseling away on these pieces, and hopefully we can hit it right on the line, throw it back together.
wouldn't say perfect fit. Once again, Golden Star has come to our rescue and has a brand spanking new tail pan for us to put onto the rear end of our 55. The original one was just completely gone, as they usually are. The best thing is that just these little bits of corner pieces here are what was really rotten. So he's got this clamped in place mostly where he wants it. We're gonna get it tacked in, finish cleaning up under there, get these pieces made that made some templates of yesterday, and get the rest of our rear end done.
All right, little beating, banging, rolling, shrinking, stretching. I've got my little piece built there. Set it in place out here. Figured I would trim back the original metal rather than sit and go back and forth trying to trim that to get it to match. So I'm gonna trim that back, get everything clamped in. Yeah, weld it in, stack up the frickin' tack welds, and hopefully when we smooth it out, you won't even notice it's there. We ran it through the tipping die a few times. Ran the stretcher over here to get this to bend back in. Used the English wheel to get this nice gentle curve here. And then these two lines I just threw into the brake. So I'm gonna go fit this on the car real quick, see if it's anywhere even close to fitting, and then we'll come back and fine tune it, get it ready to go on the car. We are going to get these doors set on. Amy's starting putting the hinges on that she got all blasted and cleaned up. And we're gonna move and unbury the doors, which of course we put in the back of the storage area. So that'll be fun, moving some of that stuff around, but we're gonna get the new Golden Star doors attached onto the car for their first time. And we can start trying to fit these quarters on the back of this thing, which I've really been looking forward to. One, because it's going to completely transform this body and just make it look like a brand new tub, like we're starting from scratch, which we pretty much are. And two, it's going to get rid of this big wall that we've had in the middle of the frickin' shop for the last couple of weeks. So that'll be nice. Other than the fact that we're going to lose our little cardboard whiteboard here, but I've already been told that that will be getting cut out. So don't fret, we will be saving the list. So yeah, let's start hanging some doors. So go ahead and ignore this big ugly spot because that won't be here much longer. But after about an hour of just fiddling around, the door fits in this gap. Not perfectly, but damn near. I've got a really good gap along the front here. Got the perfect reveal left on the A-pillar. Fantastic gap along the top by the door edge. This gap right here, we don't care because there's a new quarter going on. And then we've got a great gap along the bottom of the door here. So I made a little whoopsie when I welded the rockers on, which I'm sure everyone has done and they've all heard it before. But I super welded all that corner in, and I had my distance between the A pillar and the B pillar perfect. That wasn't an issue at all whatsoever. What I didn't think about was the height of the rocker, and I welded it in a little too tight to the door. So I had to cut the front open and knock the rocker back down into position. But other than that little teeny mess up, perfect gaps all the way around. And then the one spot that is a hair goofy, it gets a little tight up here. And then, I mean, what is that? Maybe an 1/8 of an inch. But these tops of the doors are going to be painted white when we do them. So I'm going to trim this back to get this gap perfect. And then I'll weld that seam back up. And even if it wasn't getting painted, you probably wouldn't notice that we did it. So let's get moving on to the passenger side. All right, passenger door is on. It looks beautiful. I've got great gaps all the way around. It was way less trouble than the driver door was. The rocker was in the right position, which helps a ton. So that was our biggest issue with the driver's side. There's a couple little spots on the door right here where the door flares up, so we'll have to fix that. And then right about here, it swells a little bit. So we'll grind that spot and this upper right here, get those welded and straight. Yeah, hair of a little kick up there as well. But other than that, the rest of the gaps are perfect. Driver door is beautiful. And we've got the rear tail pan in. So we are going to get the hell out of here and end the day on a win.
Come on, you can do it. Come on, just push the button. Push, 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 push the